Shabbat Shalom, L'chaim L'chaim. This week's Torah portion is Pinchas. It carries on the story which began at the end of last week's Torah portion, which is when one of the princes of Israel and one of the princesses of Midian are doing a sin in the eyes of everyone, and it's wrong, and Pinchas goes and he kills them both, which was in line with halacha. He did what the law demanded. And Hashem was very pleased with this because Hashem was not happy that the Jews were sinning so much and doing all this bad. And so he rewards Pinchas with the kahuna. He's made a Kohen, which is rightfully his, and he is given the covenant of peace. So that's at the beginning of this week's Torah portion. And then it continues on and talks about the dividing of the land, the inheritance for each of the tribes. And there's these famous women, the daughters of Slafchad, and they go and they complain to Moshe and they say, our father died, and we have no brother to inherit his portion, give it to us. And so Moshe asks Hashem, and Hashem says, yes, they're right, give them their portion. And from there, we get this idea that women and daughters can inherit the portion of their fathers. And finally, the Torah portion ends with a discussion on the different korbanot, all the different offerings we bring to the temple, and for what times, for Shavuot, Sukkot, etc. And it's very interesting when you start to look at those numbers. What I want to focus on here is Pinchas, and something that we can learn by what he did that I feel all of us have experienced before. The idea is sometimes we're confronted with a situation where we want to do something that we just know is wrong. And I could give you a very, very small example, but it could blow up to much bigger situations. Every day when I'm davening, there are times in the davening, in the tefillah, where you're supposed to sit and you're supposed to stand. And, when it's so early in the morning and I'm so tired and I sit there and I know that this part is coming up where I have to stand up, and I think, all the excuses come to mind. I've got a baby, I'm tired, I'm so early, I've been, working all week. And then I get to this part and I know what's right and I stand up because it's respectful. And that's what the sages said, and I follow them. And this is the idea that sometimes in life we find these situations that we're pulled to do something that we just know is not right. And when we get there, what we actually need to do, and I heard this from Rebbetzin Rachel Bazak, she said, which Ayala told me through her, but the idea is throughout life we're confronted with situations that we know are bad, and we need to do the right thing. And how do we do the right thing? We need to remove ourselves. We need to say, what does Hashem want from me? And when you can remember this, and you can remember to sit there and say, okay, I'm confronted with a situation. What does Hashem want? What would Hashem want me to do here? It could help you to make the right decision. It could help motivate you. For me, it's asking, what would Hashem want? Ayala says when she just tells herself, remove yourself. Take yourself out of the equation. What is the right thing to do? It helps her a lot more. And it helps me when I ask, what does Hashem want? But this is the idea. And I'm sorry I can't think of better examples, but we see this with Pinchas. Pinchas is sitting there and he's seeing all the people sinning, and he knows it's wrong. And then he sees Cosby and Zimri go, and they're making a point and they're doing something heinous, terrible. And he sees that Moshe is not doing anything, and he remembers the halacha. The halacha says you must go and kill them while they're doing it. If they finish the act, then there's nothing to do. And he knows the right thing, and he goes and he does it. Why? Because he says, what does Hashem want? I'm removing myself from the situation. It says that Pinchas descends from Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen and all his descendants are people of peace, meaning that Pinchas's nature is peaceful. He's not trying to cause conflict. He's not trying to do something that is so gavura, so stringent and hard. But when he sees the opportunity to do the right thing, he removes himself. He asks, what does Hashem want? And he does it without a thought. So B'ezrat Hashem, we can all merit to learn from this and to bring it into our lives, to ask ourselves every day whenever we're confronted, what does Hashem want? To remove ourselves and to do the right thing. Shabbat Shalom.